All right, next on the call today, we've got Peter Unger joining us from Albuquerque, New Mexico. I think at present, he's the #1 producer in the entire state of New Mexico. So Peter, you got some, I hypothesize, but I'm pretty sure. Now, we don't have a lot of people in New Mexico, so it's good to have you there, boots on the ground. Well, we've got someone in the office. Well, Peter, you and Peter are gonna be battling it out for the New Mexico crown. But Peter's been at this about 3 weeks, guys. 3 weeks. No insurance experience, brand new, recently licensed. He's going to tell us. And if you'd like to learn some work ethic and some sales principles, tune in, lean hard, and get that pen ready. So, how you doing today, Peter?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on here.
Happy to have you on today, buddy. Good to have you on here. I'd love it if I just turned it over to you, man, and allow you to just share, a little bit about you, your background, who introduced you to FFL, and just kind of share with everybody who Peter Unger is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Jamie Chirio is who introduced me to FFL. And I think I found my way into this industry, turn of all kinds of crazy events over the last 6 years. I was working at a coffee shop when I was 17, which was in 2015. And the biggest thing I learned from working there pretty soon was that I didn't want to work for someone else for minimum wage. And so I ran the numbers one day and I was like, how could I get to a point where I can make $100,000 in this job? Is it even possible? And I figured out the math and it was easy. I just had to work 49 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I would be able to potentially make 6 figures. So it didn't really pan out. But a few months into working that job, my friend introduced me to network marketing. He recruited me into a health and wellness company, and my eyes were open to a completely different world. And I was in network marketing for about 3 years. I saw some success at building a team, but it didn't really help my bank account. So, 3 years in, I had a team of several hundred people, but it wasn't actually translating to much. And so, long story short, I ended up getting out of the industry. And after that, I did all kinds of different things. I've worked with some different companies for digital marketing and online stuff. And then I ended up in the beginning of 2019, me and my wife started a company, an online marketing and branding agency. And we started just building that up on our own. It was the first thing I'd ever done by myself. And so we had done that all of 2019, all of 2020. And we thought we had made it through the pandemic, but in November of 2020, we stopped getting new clientele coming in, and it was really hurting us financially. And so we knew just from what we had been doing, we had some money put away, and we knew we could make it through February, potentially March of this year. And so we just continued really trying to find a way back to make our business work, because from the beginning, resourcefulness was such a big part of that. And we couldn't figure it out. And so I finally looked up for the first time in a couple of years, and I had been paying attention to what Jamie had been doing for the last several months. And so I watched every FFL video I could find. I watched Jamie's Instagram videos. And then after like a week of doing my own research, I reached out to him to catch up and basically recruited myself. I got on a FaceTime call just to talk about life. They have their baby that's going to be born pretty soon, and we have a second one on the way. And so we just kind of caught up. It'd been a while. And then midway through the call, I asked him about FFL. And so I ended up getting into class a couple of days later. That was the beginning of March. And then was out in the field by the end of March. And here we are 3 weeks later.
Fast and furious, man. So perfect. So I always like to ask this question just for clarity for people that maybe are watching who are unlicensed. How did you find the licensing process to go?
How did I find the licensing process to go through?
Hard, easy, simple, just worked hard and got it done?
Yeah, I mean, I kept track of all the time it took me. It took me I overstudied. I know I did now, but I'm not a good test taker. So I spent like 50 hours going through pre-licensing in a week and a half. And I set my exam to be like 10 days after I started so that I would have to take it no matter where I was at. And then I took it, but I think it was just a matter of sitting down to do the work. I mean, it was like a full-time job for a week, but I didn't want it to take 6 weeks. Good
attitude. There you go. You took that approach and you put it towards the way you run your business now. So, I'd love for you to talk about kind of that sort of first week or so you had in the business from, something that happened with you in your household. And then we're 21 days in, so there isn't a lot to talk about yet, but you've had a lot going on from not only personal situations that have, and then from the business. So I'd love you kind of would tell that story you shared with me yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So me and my wife, we've been married for about 3 years, and in that time, we've always found a way to make it to the next month, at least, at the very least. And so we knew when it came time to say yes to FFL, I didn't have another second option that made sense. We knew that we have our monthly rent. And so I told Jamie, like, how fast can I do this? And he said, it just depends on the state, and it depends on how fast you get through the things that you can control. So I went as fast as I could, because I knew that we weren't going to have money coming in from anything in April. And so if it wasn't going to be Family First Life, and it wasn't going to be life insurance, then it wasn't going to be anything else. And so I went through the whole process as quickly as I could, and I was out in the field on the 29th. And it's crazy. I never wanted this story. Like, I used to hear the most ridiculous stories in network marketing, and people had these crazy stories of how they made it to where they were at. But for me, it was always pretty simple. But until recently, we ended up getting an eviction notice actually the beginning of April, just a few weeks ago. And it came in on the 4th, and we had until the 9th to pay our rent, but we couldn't pay. And so we took actually the last $200 in our bank account to buy aged leads. And that was my first lead order. And so I took $200 because that's all I could spend. And I just had to resolve every lead. I didn't really have a choice. And so Americo, they froze our funds for the first check, and we got it the morning of the 9th, and we were able to go get the cashier's check and pay rent so we could stay put. But my wife she was so excited about it. She's like, she believed in this so much. She's like, we need to take a picture with our eviction notice. This is exciting. This will never happen again. And I just wanted to rip it up, but I actually have it right here. And so anyways, crazy stuff, but we're not going to get evicted. And thankfully this is working. This is working really well. So
that's awesome, dude. The big guy's looking out for you, man. He's got another plan. And that's something you didn't want, but you found a way and resolved every lead. So tell me about your first 10 sales. Like, how'd that process go?
I mean, to be honest, my first week was terrifying for me. I feel like I live in this tension of, I absolutely hate doing something new because I hate being a novice at anything, but I also love the opportunity to grow and to do something new. It stretches you. It gets you out of your comfort zone. I was so uncomfortable. I mean, I'm more introverted. And so the idea of meeting with someone who might have hung up the phone and then maybe answered if I called again, and then getting in their home with them was not really the most exciting thought. But my first week was, I felt like a train wreck. I followed Paul McLean's 8 steps to final expense, like it was the Bible. And I printed out Jamie Cherio's agenda for that. And then I just went through it in home, and I called him every single time and just hoped that he would answer. And he answered every single time, and walked me through everything. And so I was really just trying to follow what I learned in boot camp as much as possible, because I've never done anything like this before. It was all brand new. And so really just trying to work on building a relationship in the home while I was there. And then those first 10 sales, I mean, I was working through the application as fast as I could. My first day, I had 7 appointments booked, and I was only able to sit 5 of them because each one took me 2.5 hours. And I was an hour and a half late on average that day. And just trying to get in my car and get to the next one. And it was crazy. I was so slow though. I mean, already I've gone a lot faster with the applications, but I did not know what I was doing at all. So
that's awesome. But it sounds like everybody, you pushed through, you figured it out. I'm putting you on the spot, but I'd love to, do you have the agenda near you, or do you know it to kind of go through it for how do you say it to the client?
Yeah. I've kind of
how you set up the appointment when you roll in. This would be really good for people who are taking notes.
Great. Yeah. So I rearranged things a little bit to what felt more natural once I was sitting with someone. But my process has been, I have manila folders ready for everyone. And in there, on top, I have their lead card. And then I have a client profile. Then I have the credibility sheet. Then I have the financial inventory. And then I have a blank piece of paper. So I have that ready for everyone in my bag. And so when I get in the house, they knock, I knock, I open up, I smile every single time, take a step towards the door and say, hey, Grady, I'm here for our appointment. Mask on, mask off, shoes on, shoes off. And then I walk them to the table every single time. And I sit down, and the first thing I do is I pull out their lead card and I put it in front of them, and I just say, what's the reason that you filled this out? And as they're looking through the information, I'm pulling out my iPad, I'm pulling out my folder with all their information in it. I'm getting a pen ready and I'm starting to write stuff down on the client profile and the financial inventory, fill out their name, all that. And then as soon as they confirm that all the information is theirs, I just ask, what was the biggest reason you filled this out? Because I've already found in the last few weeks that if I don't find the need in the beginning, then I'm fishing in the dark the entire appointment, trying to figure out, do they even need this? Is this even going to help their family? And it's been so awkward at times because I'm guessing at what the need is. And so I just let them share. And then if they don't share very much, I ask them to open it up and be more. I'm like, well, why was this important to you? And so in a way, I'm almost like qualifying them. Like, why am I here right now? And why do you need me to be here? And then as soon as they answer that, I let them know who I am and try to build a little bit of credibility, a little bit of rapport. I tell them that I'm a medical underwriter through the state. So I kind of share my roles. Tell them that I'm an independent broker for Family First Life, show them the credibility sheet, tell them, you know, I don't work for any of these companies, but I work with all of them. And so what's amazing about that is you and me sitting here, I represent you, not an insurance company. And I'm not a captive sales agent. And so that usually I can see people physically start to relax. And then I tell them what I want to accomplish with them today. I said, hey, the biggest thing that we need to do today is we need to make sure that we find something that's affordable for you. These are state regulated. So the state's recommended all these companies. That also means that this is made for anyone, whether they're working full time or they're on a fixed income. And so we need to make sure we find something that can actually disappear into your budget. And what I mean by disappear is it doesn't change the way that you guys live. If the roof starts leaking, if a tire pops, you're not having to think, I need to go cancel my life insurance, because truly, you know, the only life insurance that matters is the life insurance that you have in place if something happens to you. And then I start to move through the process with them. I say, hey, we're going to go through a couple minutes with medical questions. I pull out the financial inventory. We're going to go through some medical questions. Based off of how you answer that, I'm going to let you know what you qualify for. And we're going to find something that makes sense. It's got to be affordable. It's got to be comfortable. It's got to be the amount of coverage you want. And then we have to make sure that you would actually qualify. And so I start to kind of pre-close, because in the beginning, I was having a lot of problems with the voided check and with collecting people's personal info, like their social. And so I took a lot of what Jamie shared with me and what you had shared in boot camp. And I start closing in the beginning. And so I just tell them, hey, we're going to go through these medical questions. I'm going to tell you what you qualify for. We're going to submit a request for coverage. You cannot make any decisions today on what you want to do, because the insurance company has to decide if they want to insure you. So they're going to get back to us, hopefully in the next week, let you know if you're qualified and if you're approved. And if you're not, then I'm going to call you and we're going to find a different option. And when we go to submit that request for coverage, I'm going to need to see your driver's license to verify your identity. We'll need a copy of the voided check for the insurance company to have on file. Then you make sure your account matches your social and your name, et cetera, and then it's your own information. And so I say that, and then I go through the medical questions and I go through the financial inventory. When I get to the end of the financial inventory, almost every time I'm home, I'm calling for help. I'm just letting them know, hey, Grady, right now I'm about 99% sure what we need to do. However, I'm going to call my senior underwriter for a second opinion, make sure I'm putting you and your family in the best situation, the best circumstances with the best carrier, make sure it's really the best option for you guys. So this will take about 60 seconds. And then I call right in front of them and I get on the phone and I just say, hey, you know, whoever answers, I'm usually on with Jamie, and I just say, hey, do you have a moment for a second opinion? I run him through their information, and then he gives me a recommendation. And no matter what he says, I learned this from Alex Straight. I just say, perfect. That's exactly what I was thinking. And then I hang up and I go back and I just tell them, hey, here's what we're going to do. And I try to remember all the steps I was just told on the phone of hey, here's how you're going to do this, because they're actually looking for mortgage protection and you guys need to make sure you protect 2 years worth of the payments. I'm like, okay. So I start to write everything down on that blank piece of paper, just some different options that we have. And if they qualify for like America, I'll give them a little bit of background. This is one of the oldest, largest companies for insurance. To create credibility there, tell them they would be the lowest cost per unit for their age and everything for life insurance. And then what I've been working on lately to go through the application process faster. And I think this is a big tip for a new agent. If you feel like you're struggling with how fast you can get in and out of the home and actually get through the steps, because sometimes someone might need like an accidental on top of their whole life policy, but you run out of time, not because you're late to the next appointment, but because they're antsy and they're done. And so one of the things that I found that really helps is all of the questions that are typically on the application that I would need to know the answer to beforehand, I try to get in the midst of conversation going through the financial inventory, like what state they were born in and how long they've been in this house for. And the only thing I don't get is their name and their email. So I'm filling out the Americo app if I think they're going to qualify. And so I'm getting everything ready so that the application's already like halfway done by the time they give me, their email and their social. And then when it comes to that point, I'm like, hey, we're going to run a quick prescription check. What's your email? And I look down at the client report, the client sheet. I don't look up at them and I say, what's your email? And then I ask for their social. And then I just write it down. And I stopped having the problem with socials because I wasn't making it weird anymore. Like, hey, can I write down your social security number? And then from there, I input that, and then I'm able to run the prescription check, and I'm writing out some different quotes for them as we're doing that. And then I just turn it around and show it to them, show them usually at most 3 different options. And I say, hey, 30,000 would cost you this much, 20,000 coverage would cost you this much, 10,000 would be this. Which of these 3 do you feel like could disappear into your budget? And then I usually keep my pen on the middle option, or the option that most would fit into their budget after we broke it all down. So it's like, if they're making, $3,000 a month, and I show them 3 quotes that I know, hey, this is like 5% of their income, then I'm going to keep my pen on that option, because I know we just broke down utilities and rent and everything. I know that they can afford this based off of what they told me, not my assumption of what they spend each month. And then they answer. And from there, I'm like, great, we're going to submit a request for coverage for that amount, see if we can get you qualified. And then we finish the application, and the prescription checks already come back. While I was asking them, I was going through the medical questions. And so we just add the beneficiaries in, and it's like the application's done. And then after that, what I've been doing is I haven't gotten business cards yet. I ordered them, but they've been taking forever. So I write all my information on the carrier sheet, and I just write my name, my cell phone number, my state license number. And I say, hey, Grady, I'm so glad that we could find something that could potentially give you some peace of mind today. And I'm glad that we got the chance to meet. I'm giving you all of my information. You're not going to have to contact anyone in my office or any assistant. You can talk to me directly. This is my cell phone number. Save it in your contacts as soon as I leave. I'm going to be your contact and your main person for anything you need with this policy or anything in the future. So you just call me or text me if you have any questions. But in the next week, while we're waiting for you to potentially get approved, if you hear from me, it's a bad thing. It probably means that you didn't qualify, and we're going to need to find something else. So you don't want me to call you. They're going to let you know, though, if you're approved. And then I just let them know again, so that there's no confusion. Hey, they're going to draft your first initial premium 3 to 4 days after you're approved, because they're going to want to put a policy in place immediately so you have full coverage and you're not waiting around for that. So if you see that come out of your account, you will know that your policy's in place, you were approved, and now you're protected. And then your policy will come in the mail 7 to 10 days later. Call me if you want me to come do a policy review with you or anything. And most people, no matter how kind they are, they're like, that's not going to be necessary. Like, no one's asked me to come back and do that, but I would if they wanted me to. And so I'm just trying to make myself available and show that, like, I showed up here to help you with a request, but I want to leave here as someone that you trust, who can help you if you need something in the future. And you're not going to just never hear from me again. And so I also save their contact. I have every client's contact on my phone. I take their folder home. If they put a policy in place, then I put them in a separate place from the people who, porched me and signed a refusal of coverage. And that's usually my process in the home. It's A to Z. I hope that wasn't too much, but that's everything I've been doing.
Everyone drop a 400 in the comments below and applause him right now. Do you feel like a novice anymore? You said you hate being a novice at something.
I think if you make a decision to do this as fast as you can, you don't really have time to be scared, and you don't really have time to figure it out. You just find it kind of happening. So I've just been booking as many appointments as I can, sitting with as many families as I can. And I'm not really thinking about, like, if I'm getting better in the process, but I know I have in the last few weeks. Like, I didn't know what I was doing 3 weeks ago. But again, like, I've heard it for years, a lot of us have success, loves speed. And I think if you take this seriously, and if you just follow the system, like, I wish there was like some secret tip, but truly, like, I've tried to apply as much as I could from boot camp. And I've been really, really, really blessed to have such a great leader, having Jamie so close and so accessible. He's been available for every phone call, whether I'm in a home or I'm just like call the people who support you, who you trust in this business, who are leaders. Call them and ask them for advice the day of when you have a problem. If you get porched in a certain way, or if you have a bad dial day and you keep having the same objection and it's not getting better, if you just call your manager, it's just, the help has been overwhelming. There's no lack of resources here if you're teachable and if you ask for help, because like if you don't ask for help, everyone thinks you're doing great, or they know you're not. But it's like, if you're new at this, then we should be asking a million questions a day.
What are you doing? So what are you doing to improve? Like, so do you have call schedule you're on? Do you have a podcast routine? What are you doing to wash out any fear, doubt, hesitation that has allowed you to build and connect these word tracks so quickly?
So I'm eating, drinking, sleeping FFL podcasts. Like, I mean, Jamie told me, he said, if you're not in a home and you're on a run day, you should be on the phone with another agent, which doesn't apply to you yet because you're alone, or you should be listening to the podcast, or you should be parked somewhere dialing. And so that's what or you know, recruiting, like on the phone with someone that you want to share FFL with. So I've just been listening to the podcast nonstop, but I've been trying to only apply one little thing at a time. Like at most, I'm going to take one new thing into the next day. If I try to apply everyone's strategies, I'm going to change mine, and I'm not even going to know what my voice or my style with things are, because already it's just a mix of different people. But it's like, okay, tomorrow I need to work on this when I'm in the home, or tomorrow's a dial day. I know last dial day I was doing this. I've listened to the podcast. I should probably change this. So the biggest thing for me has been listening to podcasts, committing to just like doing one new thing or one thing, tweaking one thing a day and keeping it really simple with that. And then just asking for help. And then in between appointments, I mean, I'm also thinking like, what went really well in that appointment and what was awkward, what didn't work, where did I go wrong, where did I maybe drop the ball with this? So yeah, just trying to kind of process things one thing at a time and move on to the next one I have to. But until I will knock on someone else's door, I'm thinking about the last appointment, which I know is opposite to a lot of people. A lot of people are like prepping for the next, but I'm like thinking about what just happened.
Reflection, your reflection. You can't adjust without looking at an analytical approach on what just happened. Did it go well? Did I build rapport? Did I talk too soon after they said this or that? Did I come across salesy? Did I come across in control? What were new word tracks that I potentially tried that I didn't try in the previous 3 appointments? It's what professionals do. So, Peter, I could talk to you for another 2 hours, but I got to get a couple of things out of you. One, your production goal, but I need you to say it so we can shave your head if you don't. What are you going to issue this year?
I'm going to go Hall of Fame.
And it gets easier. I'll let you know that it gets easier because you get better, you're more confident. You will fine tune what you just went through to such a level that it will come out of you like you're professional, like a professional singer at a concert, and you just show up, you put on a show, they give you the check, you leave with a bottle of water, sometimes pie, and this will become your new life. So, your past career. Before your most recent career, your previous industry that you were in,
yeah.
Are you going to apply any of those skills here? Are you going to build a team with us?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we made a decision this past month, not like there was a lot to let go of, but we dissolved our business, our LLC that we had. We just believed that this was going to be home based off of the stories we heard and the training I was going through. And so that's exactly it. I just, the slots you were talking about earlier, for the recruiting campaign through FFL, I locked in a slot yesterday, and then nice. I'm going to be building a list of people that I know that could be amazing here, and reaching out to them.
Well, anyone on your list that's watching this, Peter is a phenomenal rising star producer with us who's going to build an amazing team. Get with him now. So I'm going to leave you this. I'm going to let you close out the whole call right now. Advice you have for the whole team, new agents, they're your agents, they're just getting started. Any final advice you have to send people on their way for the rest of today, and we'll close it out.
Two things come to mind. The first thing is that if you're new here and you have the desire, but you don't have the belief, one of the things I've realized over time, regardless of what your environment is our environments inform what we believe about ourselves a lot of times. And so if you're coming from a corporate job, or if you're coming from a job where you don't really believe that you were paid your value, then what happens is that you take that mindset here. And if you don't adjust it, and you don't use the belief that all of these different leaders and these people have in us, then what we have is we have preconceived notion that we've already created our own glass ceiling because we only believe we can accomplish so much. And so if you're coming from an environment that is any less encouraging, any less exciting, any less opportunistic than what we have with Family First Life, then I think it's so important that you don't let what you believe about yourself and your abilities and what you're capable of be shaped by your past environment or what you were paid in a past career or what people told you you were worth. And you let this new environment form and really inform what you believe you're capable of doing, because I just believe that our past environments, they shape what we believe about what is actually possible. And you could come here and bring that mindset and then not do well, and not because there's not an opportunity and not because you don't have the potential skill set, but because you lack the belief in yourself that you can do anything better than what you've ever done before. And I just believe that our future should be so much bigger than our past. And then the second thing, maybe more practical, less esoteric, is just to follow the system. I mean, there's really nothing crazy other than that. I've followed the steps, and I've tried to book 30 appointments a week, sit with 20, and help 10 get some form of protection in place for their family. And that's actually all that I'm doing, is I'm dialing until I have those appointments, and then I'm trying to sit with those numbers. And I've barely been sitting with those numbers, to be honest. I mean, I've had no shows in weeks where I sat with 5 total families. And so it's like, that's really the standard here, and you can do it. And you just need to work hard. I mean, I've been tracking my time. It's been about 80 hours a week. Like, it's not part-time, but you can, there's no limit to what you can do. I mean, already.
Right. That's right, man. You want an average, work 40. You want above average, work over 80. And over average is what we do here at FFL. So Peter, thank you so much for joining us today. Everyone drop a 400 again, because he's going Hall of Fame this year. And he started in March. And, Peter, we cheer you on. We're excited to watch you continue to run up the leaderboard and to build your team as well, because they're going to be all very lucky to be able to work with you. So with that, have a great day. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Jump back on live dials, FFLdialteam.com, password FFL. And let's make it another big. There's no going back. Appreciate you all. Grateful for you all. Have a great day.